Hello and welcome to the vlog for Pokemon Spectrum, session 22.
Start in a tunnel, we end in a tunnel. It's a big circle, a big loop. One big Mobius strip of infinity.
Next session's gonna be scary.
So there's a couple pieces on the table, of course, to consider. I'm not entirely sure how to break down the pieces, but we do have some stuff that sounds like inconsistencies, or not inconsistencies, but just perception problems, which is a big theme in a campaign that uses identity tropes, changing who people really are, etc. So we're talking on the universal scale at this point, though. So this is it's not just about saving a city. It's not just about saving family members. It's about a rewrite of the entire universe. So will sacrifices be made? Becomes the big question, because this is
more than likely
big scale. So it'd be interesting, yeah. Because we have a range between our characters alone that go from, family, people protecting family, individuals like a brother, to the extended family like Tiffany, to a city, if you want to think about politics or where you're from, and then all the way up to the world, saving the world, which has gone above that now, which is saving the universe of this world. So it's interesting.
No pressure.
Yep. So where do you want to begin?
Beginning.
So the chase plan.
Not as suicidal as we first thought.
No,
it worked.
Ultimately, my intention was to make people a little bit scared about the suicidal, but that's just because I wanted to make sure that as players we had an opportunity to sort of stretch some muscles. Like, we're at the end of the game now, and I felt like it'd be fun to try to get people to think a little bit on their toes, instead of pre-planning everything, and that included Hark. I wanted to make sure that I threw Hark for a loop.
No, you did.
Just to see how he kind of get out of it. So it was a little bit of a personal game there.
I just want to make this clear. It was a very potentially suicidal plan.
Absolutely.
It was just quite fortunate that they reacted the way they did.
I trusted the players.
Which was of course,
it worked out fine.
It wasn't so much about Chase trusting the characters, because we can meta that all day, but I wanted to get to a point where I want, like, part of Chase's identity is I'm trying to make it nearly indistinguishable from the meta player. But I'm trying to bake in spirituality behind that meta-ness, and it's something I haven't really expressed to the group. But we are at the end now, and so we are talking about a lot of, like, religious stuff. And so it was more like, could Chase trust the players is what I was trying to get at, which is why I couldn't really explain it, because this is not explainable inside the world logic of the characters, right? So, and it turned out great.
Yeah. It could have gone a lot worse. Yeah,
could have. I wanted some information that we just couldn't get. Like, I felt like our characters were hitting some walls about how do we just understand what the players are, and there's a certain point in the game where it's not sensible. But being a GM for a while, like, the thing that's usually the idea that becomes the catalyst that gives the players information is when a player does something absolutely unplanned and creates it, like, forces the GM to sort of feel a little bit uncomfortable, and that's sort of how when reveals happen when they shouldn't, sort of thing. It's when a player's not intentionally, I was intentionally doing it, but it's when a player unintentionally messes with the DM's plan, and then reveals happen a little bit sooner, so I just didn't trust that Omni was who they were. Like, I got to a point where I'm like, I don't think Bo is part of this. I think he's being played. I think Pimple's being played. I think Omni has their own plan. I think that they're playing I wasn't thinking universal at the time, but I was thinking world changing at this point.
Oh yeah.
I'll explain a little bit of meta here, because I didn't talk to Hark about the last couple levels I've taken as Chase, and it hasn't come up in game, but I've taken what's it called in the religious book where you become like sensitive to the god, like
Oh,
what's it
blessed
called
and
now?
damned.
Blessed in the day. But what's that first thing you got to take as a prerequisite before you become a signer, a messiah, whatever?
I have no clue.
So he's got that, which gives him some connection to a patron god, essentially.
Do those fall into the category of ask permission of the GM in that book? I believe I said most of the things in the book was ask permission of the GM. I
think
believe.
anything past that prerequisite becomes a ask the GM before you take, because then you start getting powers that are
past the prerequisite. Okay,
but
fair
it's
enough.
the first one's sort of like this: if you become sensitive to the potential of being connected.
Okay.
So, and I was actually considering, I hate to say it now, but I was going down the path of missing no. I was going to ask Hark, how would I do this if I wanted to worship a dead god or a dark god?
You know, it's still a possibility.
Well, now I don't want
He
to.
clutches Pokeball.
Now I'm going,
no.
No, why?
Lux, get your ball.
Missing no more.
A lot of there was a comment when you had the glitch session. There was a comment. I forgot who said it. So if you're watching,
but they
my
said they were
apologies.
disappointed you hadn't included.
They were disappointed I hadn't included missing no, and I was like, I could respond to this, but anything that I say would give something away. So I purposely did not respond to that at all, because I was like, no, missing no is a thing. I just don't want to say anything about it yet. So. Speaking of that episode, had you decided to delve into that side quest, as in the architect side quest, and try to befriend the glitches and not end up with the horrific
Remy?
the horrific botched diplomacy job, that would have unlocked a bunch of things to you, including meeting Bill, including getting access to Bill's PC. You would have gotten Bill's password, among other things. That also would have... You can probably deduce right now that the glitches are probably not happy with the lot of you, and might be a lot more keen on siding with a god that is a lot like them. So the Team Omni's army has gotten stronger because now they have glitches
because of Remy
on their side. So
Damn it, Remy.
just as an FYI, that might become a thing in the final battles to come, maybe.
We're gonna totally blame Remy for that.
Yep. Hey, you and Fern had them talked down twice.
It looked like it to Remy. They kept asking for more, and no more.
Putting his paw down.
Had Remy not been cured, if you did not go to the temple and had him blessed and all that good stuff, that would have played out a lot differently, because he specifically had, as a glitch, he had a connection with the missing no, because the missing no is a glitch. And that's why he was hearing these voices. That's why he was connected to Dr. Jaboko, because Dr. Jaboko is also a glitch. He's a god glitch. But you cut off that connection, which is good for you guys too, because now Dr. Jaboko couldn't spy through Remy. But
Doesn't matter. Tiff told him everything anyway.
told Lobel everything about their plan and how they were all going to Johto, and Lobel was like, "Oh, okay, thank you, thank you for telling me."
All the more reason she has not let go of that ball yet, and probably isn't going to for a very long time. But that's later. First, let's get through the big Omni meeting Chase walked into.
Yes, the Omni meeting. Yes.
Yeah.
You learned about their plan. You learned about
The god before the god.
the god before the
That
god.
we all acknowledge as the god. Yep. And I also wanted to determine whether or not the humans inside those Pokemon were equivalent to humans trying an internal rebellion inside the city. Like they were working for human equality, and I wanted to determine that explicitly as a player. Because I didn't want us like taking down Team Omni and then all of a sudden finding out Team Omni was actually trying to create and like they were the humans inside the Pokemon trying to fight for the humans inside the Pokemon City. So I started working on that kind of theory, and I wouldn't be able to move on unless I knew for sure. So they definitely proved they are not working for the humans.
Nope,
So,
not at all.
That's guaranteed.
Nope, not
Yes.
at all. Humans to them are just animals, the way we kind of see animals in real life. Animals shouldn't have the same footing as we do because they're dumb and stupid and not as powerful as we are. They don't have technology like we do. Therefore, they are sentient, but they're not as sentient as us. You can argue that a lot of the Pokemons are more intelligent or more sentient than humans are, and yet they are seen as inferior, at least in this world.
So then my question from a meta level is so if the body swaps happened, where are these the human souls inside the Pokemon who have come to see things differently? Are the 12 all like Imp, or is it something that wasn't revealed yet about how they can either morph or...
They cannot morph. The implication is that their souls, the Frostlass that you see means that temporarily Iridessa is back in her original body, which then begs the question, well, where is the human body of Iridessa? Where is that? You don't know yet where that is. So you do not believe that they can morph between Pokemon and humans. They have to go through the machine,
the transfer probes, yeah, the machine.
To transfer their aura back and forth, and possibly you can decide for yourself why this Frostlass decided to go back to its original body for this dinner, or if it has been in its original body for a while, you can decide for yourself why. There was a very good Molly and Ray scene.
Yeah. Molly and I are both very disappointed we're not getting the rays out of there.
But you felt like you closed the book on that because you turned into a book. I was trying to riz it.
A dumb Riz.
You could have. I think that you could have asked Kyle to escort them, and you probably could have
You've brought it up.
asked the Rays. You probably could have convinced the Rays to leave. They did. They said they were loyal to Pimple, but they didn't necessarily imply that they were any less loyal to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but as it was, like with all the stuff that's coming with possible war and all of this stuff, like Molly could see that Johto was actually the safer place for the Rays at the moment.
Yes, it would be.
And they were and as they since they were loyal to Pimple, and Pimple does have a bit of influence in Johto, being a DJ, being so kind of the voice of the president almost.
He's the media.
Like,
yes.
He's the media. Molly is definitely not happy about leaving them behind, even though that's what she came to Johto to do. But at the same time, she sees that this is the safer place for them, and if things go down, she'd rather have them be in the safer place. Mm-hmm. And let the consequences for herself be what they might, but at least the Rays are safe. Mm-hmm. And she's still not happy about it. But it seemed it was kind of a lesser of two evils, at this point. Like,
the challenge of this whole plan, if Bo's plan is to try to at least first find peace between the humans and the Pokemon, is you definitely need to somehow hope or convince humanity that they are willing to sacrifice some of their freedom or independence to allow the Pokemon to have their own freedom and independence. But the rest of the Pokemon in the outside world too have to be convinced as well. Because I think many of them in the outside world are seeing Johto and realizing, hey, they've got a good thing set up. Why can't it be like that everywhere? Why, like I said, they're more powerful than the humans. Many of them are smarter than the humans. Why do they have to be on equal footing? The whole this addresses the strange like balance of power in the Pokemon games, because there's always that joke about, oh, I'm this little 10-year-old boy that can capture this god Arceus into a Pokeball. Like, that doesn't really make any logical sense. So the whole point is, the way Arceus designed this universe, you're right, logically it doesn't make any sense. But to them, that is the norm. To them, they just accept that because that's just how the way the world works. For us, that sounds really odd and strange because we're not of that universe. The same rules of logic don't apply to us in the same way that it does with them. So it sort of explains why these Pokemon who should be at the top of the food chain are not. It's because Arceus created the world that way, set up the laws of the world that way, and if anything, in a twisted sort of way, the missing no, Dr. Jaboko is trying to change the rules so that they apply more like our rules in real life, the way things actually worked out in our universe, in a way. It's a lot to think about.
So how did you like the Cassie chase scene from sessions ago?
Which one?
At the labs.
I forgot what they were talking about. I forgot the text.
About
Versus-
that.
Yeah.
About the imbalance of power and why it is that way.
Yeah, Pokey the
What
ball.
was I forgot exactly like what was the resolution of that conversation, or what the final thought of that conversation?
I mean, Cassie was basically saying that it doesn't really make sense unless you consider the fact that like the gods are choosing to let this happen.
I see.
Like, because
Thank
they
you.
have all the power to stop it if they wanted to, but they never have.
Right.
So
You're right.
it must just be the way that, you know, things are.
That's just the way that Arceus wanted things to be. And if you want to ask Arceus why it decided to go against the
Yeah, we should
previous
talk to
iteration.
Arceus. We should do that.
Yeah, let's go talk to Arceus.
Yeah,
We can totally
a
do
little
this,
harder to
right?
get to.
Well, once we get Giratina's phone number, we'll just ask.
Yeah, it's like 16.
797 7979. That's great. Case already knows Giratina's number. No.
Oh gosh. It kind of reminds me of like Kronos.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, Kronos. Kronos was
Yeah.
overthrown by
Zeus.
Zeus. Because Kronos was Zeus's dad, I think.
Technically, Zeus had help from like siblings, older but
Yeah.
also younger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ones that were or were not eaten.
The ones who were eaten, but then they were thrown up, so they help.
They're pretty miffed about that whole thing.
You know,
Then there was the Emerald scene. There was a lot going on with Emerald.
Quite the reveal.
Yeah.
The context behind it.
Yes, again, I'm sorry that Tiffany didn't get nice things out of that. She could have smited all of you. Smited a lot
know!
of you. With just the mere thought.
Hey, she still might. You don't know how this is going to
Or
end.
power in her pinky. Then
Missing
all
no
of you
has to
combined.
go somewhere, and he wants to keep it in the family.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not like she isn't the special effects status canon. So,
Subconsciously, a good way to, recruit and talk to a lot of Pokemon is to be a contest consultant. I think that I think that, to be fair, I think Emerald already wanted to do that herself anyway. I think that subconsciously, it's almost like indoctrination. It's like subconsciously, behind the scenes, the god was kind of pushing her to, let's talk to this Pikachu and this Bulbasaur about stuff. Have you heard about the
Slowly.
good book of Missing No? The good book of Missing No. Let me tell you about it.
Slowly twisting Emerald's desires into something that was kind of what she wanted, but was leaning towards more what the god wanted. And I was
Right.
just like, oh yeah, this is the garden path you want to go down. Yeah, it's lovely. And just like slowly blocking off like pieces in the maze. Oh, you can't go that way anymore. You just gotta keep going that way now.
And also makes you wonder if back when you saw Emerald at the orphanage, when she was passing out food to the kids and telling them stories and stuff, if, you know, the implication was the woman, the director, was actually the one in charge of that orphanage. It was never actually confirmed nor denied whether or not Emerald was there because she was volunteering. It was never confirmed or denied if she was there just as a volunteer or if she was there for a completely different reason.
Yeah, that's been bothering Tiffany for a while now.
Maybe you know now.
Clarification, finally.
Like, which one married Lobel? Like, whose idea was that? Was that
Mm-hmm.
Emmy's, or was that?
Yes, this is something we have discussed quite a bit.
Was Emerald actually totally in love with Wade, or did she end up marrying Lobel, but she was actually in love with Wade? We don't know.
Exactly. That's what we're
We don't
asking.
know. That's a little messy.
Overall, how did you feel about it, Petra? About, like, if you look back at the entire session now and think about all the times Emerald has appeared, is it going to change how you, like, what you take away from scenes where she was woven into the narrative?
Yeah.
You have any, like, initial thoughts or memories of any of those scenes, like, coming back to you and meaning something different, or outside of the Whitestone one?
I think really the only big one that Tiffany knows of is Whitestone.
Whitestone?
Because the only other time we've actually seen Emmy on screen was during the session 0 for the guest spots.
Mm-hmm.
And Tiffany doesn't. Well, she
Right.
knows Charlie met her at one point.
Yeah.
And Ella's making face. Why are you making face?
I just realized, like, when she was watching that thing with Charlie, it was like she probably helped organize that Johto rebellion. And
I was gonna say that
just
scene,
had
if
such
you
a good
remember,
poker face.
that scene happened right when the walls of Johto. Well, not when the walls fell, but when Johto rebelled with Emerald that day.
We're all too shy.
So the theme is everybody's families are messed up. Everyone's families are messed up. Noir's family, Chase's family, Riz's family. Well, Riz's family is probably
My
the
family's
most normal.
beautiful, thank you.
They're beautiful, but they're in a messed up situation right now.
Wait,
I
whose
might
sister
be perfectly
Cassie's?
healed by the time we get back.
Cassie's family.
That's true. Yeah, her mom was a victim and her dad was murdered. Like, that's...
Yes. All of your families are messy.
Kyle, sweetie, what is she marrying into? Is your family normal?
I think just
normal.
to switch things up in the next campaign, I'm just gonna make everybody's family like perfectly stable, like nothing completely off about them, no dark secrets. They're just perfect families for the next campaign. That'll throw people off.
Everyone will be on their toes the whole time.
Be like, what's the big reveal?
They're too perfect.
My parents are too perfect. What's wrong?
Yeah, and because they're too perfect, then they start like causing problems because they keep suspecting things, and then
Right.
the family comes.
Characters are just, I don't know, my mom and dad loved me and supported me at every turn. Like, something has to be wrong.
Yes.
I do hope, if not during the rest of the campaign, at least during the epilogue, maybe, if depending on how everything goes, I do hope Molly and the Rays will have their finally big happy reunion. Meet Alicia, everyone.
Emerson can go see Pimple again.
Yeah, but of course.
Wedding at the slaughterhouse.
Yay!
Well,
I mean, the Clefairies, so...
down if we're going for
God.
equality, so Are the Pokemon giving up the human slaughterhouses?
We'll just rename
If the
those
peach
laughter
trees go
houses.
through,
If it goes
Oh, yeah.
through, yeah.
That was the
as well as the daycare.
everything. Everything has to get
And I think
neutralized.
Forcing-
fighting.
What do you think this world would be like if all of a sudden your president or the leaders decided, you know what? Eating meat, that's against the law. You're not allowed. Nobody can eat meat anymore. What do you think? How do you think society is going to react to that?
I don't think it would go well.
Yeah. So
I think
this is
it
just
would
putting
have
into
to be
perspective.
slowly implemented over time.
Yeah.
Like it would be like a slow debate, like just slowing things down on either side.
Yeah, right. Like peace treaties don't happen overnight for sure.
Mhm.
Even the ones in our own history, they take years and decades,
Yeah.
sometimes to align on a middle ground. So, but it's a start, and I'm sure there'll be a black market and all the stuff that they say they
Mhm.
can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Oh
It's
yeah.
going to be like a cyberpunkian future of Pokemon and people working
You're
for
welcome, season
corporations,
2.
stealing food for stealing meat for families that can afford it.
It might
there's
open
Those
up
mob
new.
bosses.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm done.
Go ahead, Riz.
Just
I was just gonna say, so there's one possible ending. What were you gonna say?
Me?
Yes.
I was just gonna say it could also open up new jobs because now you're not making your Pokemon do things for you. Now all the humans actually have to like get down and do all the mundane tasks that Pokemon have been doing this whole time. So that's a positive. More jobs
Yeah.
for those who want to work those jobs.
for those who want to work those jobs.
Sure, that'll have a
Yeah,
problem.
they're
too.
not going to be allowed to be ranchers anymore. Pokemon breeders are going to have a field day for a while until they rebrand themselves into fertile specialists.
The Pokemon have to sign a waiver before they go in.
Exactly.
That's
That
the thing. Like
will
if they
be
want to vote,
manhandled by other Pokemon in order to make eggs. Yes.
they just have to be treated like humans, really.
Pretty much.
I mean, if they're gonna work jobs, then they're getting paid and stuff like that.
Yeah. And if there's ever, this is very interesting because if there would be, I'm not going to promise anything, but if there would be a season 2 to this campaign, then, the world state, whatever you decide politically, whatever happens to the world politically is going to, of course, affect what happens in season 2. So.
But it's not even what we decide.
Like,
Well, our actions
mean,
are decided.
Your
What happens in
actions
the world
are gonna
is-
influence.
We'll see. We'll see how big an influence, though. I don't know. We'll see what
Oh,
happens
no.
next time.
well,
You
I mean,
could now become a supermodel. Tiffany could become his stylist. Yes, I like this plan. Let's go with that.
you could just capture the missing no and then just, go to the
We
Elite Four
chuck its
and be
world
like,
into Mars universe. Problem solved. It can have a whole empty universe to rule.
well, it's not empty. There's people there still.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was destroyed world.
Well,
ways
like, a
of-
lot of people and Pokemon died, but it's like, yeah, there's still stuff.
they're
there.
rebuilding.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
It's
Just-
after the blight.
Just
Here's another
ca-
Arch-Demon.
Wait a minute.
Joy!
Go ahead, Roma.
Not a problem anymore.
Roma,
I was just gonna say, just capture missing no into the Pokeball and then eject it out into space. Let Mass Effect
No,
Season 2 deal
Mass
with it.
Effect will find it. No.
Ooh,
Nice.
That sounds like
Like-
a chase plan to me.
capture it, and then go back to Faders, ask the person to
I
save,
love it.
and then
Yes!
just leave it.
Love it.
Let's see what
Now we have the plot for
Signal will
season
make of
3.
that.
Totally can make the plot for season 3 now. I don't even have to make it up myself. It's already decided. That's
I
it.
like this
There we
plan,
go.
though.
We just need to call Hoopa.
pull the long one and then throw it through.
Pull the long one.
Just throw it on the hoops. Just go. It's fine.